Let's talk about a $65 billion move that China just made in Pakistan. Yep, you heard that right. $65 billion. That's the kind of money that makes you do a double take. But why would China throw such an astronomical sum into Pakistan? Well, it all comes down to something called the Strait of Malacca, or as I like to call it, China's economic Achilles heel. Here's the deal. The Strait of Malacca is this tiny little choke point that 80% of China's oil imports have to pass through. It's the shortest, cheapest route between the Middle East and Asia's booming markets. But there's a big, glaring problem. At its narrowest point, this strait is just 2.8 kilometers wide. That's thinner than a lot of city streets. So if someone decided to park a few big ships or, I don't know, cause a little traffic jam, China's entire economy could be in deep trouble. Like, we're talking $64 million in losses for just 1 week of closure. That's not chump change. And considering China hasn't exactly been making best friends on the global stage lately, that's a risk they can't afford. So, what's their game plan? Diversify. Enter Pakistan and the massive $65 billion project known as the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, or CPEC for short. So what exactly is CPEC? Picture this. Instead of all their goods squeezing through the Strait of Malacca, China will use Pakistan's Gwadar Port to trade with the rest of the world. Goods will land in Pakistan, then get shipped up to China via a sprawling 3,000-kilometer network of roads and railways. Without this corridor, oil shipments would have to travel 12,000 kilometers. With CPEC, that distance shrinks to just 2,000 kilometers. That's a huge time and money saver. China and Pakistan like to call themselves all-weather friends. Cute, right? But let's be real. China's infrastructure game is light years ahead of Pakistan's. Pakistan's roads? Crumbling. Railways? A mess. Ports? Barely hanging on. By teaming up with a powerhouse like China, Pakistan gets a shot at revamping its infrastructure, while China gets a safer, shorter trade route. Seems like a win-win, right? Well, let's dig a little deeper. The crown jewel of this whole operation is the Gwadar Port. It's strategically located on the Arabian Sea, giving China easy access to Europe, the Middle East, and beyond. Gwadar became a big deal after the Kargil War when Pakistan realized they needed a strong military port. The port was completed in 2007, but by 2013, it was handed over to China. Now, China's turning the area into a special economic zone. Think tax breaks, customs exemptions, and all that good stuff. Gwadar's in Balochistan, the poorest province in Pakistan, so this project promised thousands of jobs, better roads, healthcare facilities, basically a mini economic boom. Fast forward to December 2024, and Pakistan proudly announced that Gwadar Port had reached full operational capacity. Sounds great, right? But here's the kicker. Despite all the hype, the port is severely underutilized. In 2023, only 17 ships docked at Gwadar. For context, nearby ports like Hambantota in Sri Lanka handled over 400 ships that same year. So why isn't anyone using Gwadar? Here's where it gets interesting. Gwadar's location is prime, deep sea port, perfect for major shipping routes. But the infrastructure? Not so much. The port has just 3 berths and relies entirely on trucks to move goods. Compare that to top-tier ports that have extensive rail networks, and you see the problem. Plans to link Gwadar to China via railway exist, but progress has been, well, slow. But China isn't giving up on Gwadar anytime soon. There are ambitious plans to expand the port's capacity. We're talking 100 berths by 2045, capable of handling 400 million tons annually. So, while Gwadar might be a ghost town now, its strategic location means it could become a major player in the future. Now, let's shift gears to another CPEC project that's been turning heads. The Orange Line Metro in Lahore. It's Pakistan's first ever metro system, and it's a big deal. Lahore is one of Pakistan's oldest cities and the largest in Punjab province, with a whopping 14 million people. A citywide transit system wasn't just a luxury, it was a necessity. The Orange Line stretches 27 kilometers with 27 train sets, mostly elevated on viaducts, except for 2 underground stations. And get this, the lowest fare is just 25 rupees, which is like $0.09. That's insanely cheap. The project cost around $1.65 billion, with China covering 52% of the bill. The result? Millions of Lahoris now have access to fast, affordable transportation. But Lahore isn't the only city getting a facelift. Let's head to Karachi, Pakistan's largest city, for a project with a fascinating backstory: the Karachi Circular Railway, KCR. This railway was first launched in 1964 and was a hit until the mid-80s, when it fell out of favor due to low ridership and massive financial losses. Fast forward a few decades, and the tracks were nothing more than abandoned relics. Enter CPEC. With Karachi's population exploding to over 20 million, the need for a reliable mass transit system is more urgent than ever. The KCR revival is pegged at $1.9 billion and promises to connect Karachi's industrial zones, residential areas, and commercial districts over a 43-kilometer network. The goal? Transport 500,000 passengers daily. Of course, it's not all smooth sailing. The old tracks are now overrun by illegal settlements, so clearing those out is a massive challenge. Plus, with Karachi's streets already bursting at the seams, much of the railway will have to be elevated. The project is still waiting on federal approval, but if it gets the green light, it could completely transform Pakistan's largest city. But wait, there's more. CPEC isn't just about roads and railways. China is also pouring billions into Pakistan's energy sector. In fact, China is overseeing 21 power projects worth a total of $33 billion. Why? Because Pakistan has an energy crisis. Blackouts lasting 6 to 8 hours are common in some areas, and industries often have to rely on generators just to keep the lights on. Without stable energy, all these shiny new CPEC projects can't function. One of the flagship projects is the Sahiwal coal power plant in Punjab. This beast has an installed capacity of 1,320 megawatts, making it the third largest in the country. The plant consumes about 5 million tons of coal annually, mostly imported from Indonesia and South Africa because Pakistan's own coal reserves have too much sulfur and lime. The Sahiwal plant cost around $1.8 billion to build, with China holding the majority of shares. But here's the catch. Ownership will transfer to Pakistan after 30 years. The plant can produce 9 billion kilowatt-hours of electricity annually, enough to power 4 million households. Since its launch, power cuts have been slashed from 6 hours to just 3. And right on its heels is the Port Qasim power plant in Karachi, with the same capacity as Sahiwal. Built at the port to minimize pollution in the city and streamline coal imports, this plant is another game-changer for Pakistan's energy grid. Now, let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture. CPEC was launched in 2015 as part of China's Belt and Road Initiative, a modern-day Silk Road aiming to connect Asia, Africa, and Europe through trade routes. But has it lived up to the hype? Not exactly. Political instability in Pakistan has thrown a wrench in the works. When Imran Khan became Prime Minister in 2018, he was highly critical of CPEC, arguing it gave China an unfair advantage. Under his leadership, only a handful of projects moved forward. Security issues, especially in Balochistan, have also been a major roadblock. There have been multiple attacks on Chinese nationals working on these projects, making it difficult to maintain momentum. So, was CPEC the win-win that China and Pakistan hoped for? It's complicated. Some projects have been successful, but many have stalled or underperformed. However, with Pakistan's current government being more pro-CPEC, there's hope that progress will pick up in the coming years. What do you think? Is CPEC a game-changer for Pakistan and China, or just an overhyped money pit? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And hey, if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It's free, and it helps us bring you more content like this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.